when my adoptive father called the Ives family and my biological parents didn't come to pick me up. I knew they had been reborn too. After all, in my past life, when the fake daughter rolled down the stairs and got disfigured, they suspected me. When my younger brother accidentally fell into the water and drowned, they also said I was the one who caused it. And in the end, when they were poisoned, they still firmly believed that I was the one who did it. They thought that in this life, if they didn't recognize me and take me back, those nightmares wouldn't happen again, and they could live a peaceful life, instead of being sad. I even felt a bit excited, because in my past life, I was tricked into the hospital by them and strangled to death. I died suddenly and unjustly, but they didn't know that whether in the past life or this life, the viper lurking beside them wasn't me. Without me going back to bear the disasters, they were still heading for a dead end. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Lucy. I've already called the Ives family. If nothing unexpected happens, someone will come to pick you up soon. At that time, you'll be the young lady of the Ives family and won't have to suffer with us anymore. My adoptive father Jarek's voice pulled me back to my thoughts. Looking at the shabby house and his weathered face, I realized that I had been reborn. It was still the day when I was supposed to be taken back by the Ives family. Seeing that I didn't speak, my adoptive mother Mandy also tried to comfort me. Lucy, our family's conditions are really poor. We can't take good care of you. When we found out that you're the daughter of the Ives family, we were so happy. In the future, you can enjoy a good life and don't have to live in this shabby house and eat poor food. The Ives family is the richest in our city. If you're recognized and taken back, you can live in a big villa and drive a luxury car. A sour feeling welled up in my heart, and my eyes instantly turned red. Mom and Dad, I don't want to leave you. I don't want to go back to the Ives family. Both of them were greatly surprised. Silly girl, what are you saying? Such a good opportunity is something others can't even ask for. You're the biological daughter of the Ives family. That's right. If it were someone else, they would have happily gone back. Don't be silly. When the Ives family comes to pick you up, you should go back with them obediently. I looked at them, and tears couldn't help falling. I hugged them and pleaded, Mom and Dad, please don't drive me away. I don't want to live with others. I only want you. You'll be my only parents from now on. They looked at each other and patted my back with eyes full of reluctance. Lucy, we don't have other children in our family. You're the only one. How could we have the heart to drive you away? If you don't want to go, we won't force you. As long as the Ives family doesn't come to take you away, we'll keep you. We can't bear to let you go either. I finally let out a sigh of relief. I thought that as long as I refused to leave, the Ives family couldn't do anything to me. But I didn't expect that after 2 days, the Ives family didn't send anyone, let alone my biological parents. Until a week later, I finally confirmed that in this life, it wasn't just me who was reborn. They were reborn too. They deliberately didn't come to pick me up. After all, in their eyes, in my past life, I was a selfish and vicious country bumpkin. In my past life, after my father made the call, Kennedy and Nicola came to pick me up in person the next day. They also gave my adoptive parents a large sum of money and welcomed me back to the Ives family with red eyes. I had been full of expectations, thinking that my biological parents loved me. But as soon as I went back, I saw a girl about my age at home. Nicola introduced her to me with a smile. Lucy, this is Rosalind. When we couldn't find you, we were so desperate that we adopted a little girl who looks like you to comfort our hearts that miss you. Although you're back now, our family is very rich, so Rosalind doesn't have to leave the Ives family. At that time, I was simple-minded and didn't think much of it. I thought they were my family, until 3 months later, Rosalind deliberately fell down the stairs in front of me and hit the corner of the table, leaving a mark on her face. Kennedy and Nicola were terrified. Rosalind nestled in Kennedy's arms and pointed at me intermittently, sobbing, Sister, I didn't mean to take your place as the real daughter. Why are you hurting me? Before I could react, I was slapped by Nicola. You little slut. How dare you push Rosalind? If anything happens to her, I'll make you pay with your life. Kennedy held Rosalind and looked at me as if he wanted to eat me. At that moment, I realized that I didn't matter at all. In their hearts, Rosalind was the biological one and the one to be protected. From then on, I lived a life on thin ice until I was strangled to death in the hospital. Now that I have a chance to start over, I won't make the same mistake and go back to the Ives family to be a scapegoat. Let that viper continue to lurk in the Ives family, and let them see who is the one who will kill them. Lucy, I don't know what went wrong. The Ives family still hasn't come to pick you up after several days. But it's okay. We'll live a good life as a family from now on. Yes, although we don't have much money, we'll do everything we can to support your studies. My parents' words pulled me back from my memories. Looking at their determined expressions, my nose twitched, and tears almost fell again. In my past life, I went back to the Ives family without hesitation, not taking into account their reluctance to let me go. When I died, it was them who came to see me off for the last time. My mother cried so hard that she was out of breath and looked full of regret. Lucy, if I had known that sending you back to the Ives family would cost you your life, I would never have let you go. My father also slapped himself a few times, and his eyes turned red. Lucy, if there's a next life, we still want you to be our daughter. We'll never let you go back to the Ives family again. Perhaps their sincerity brought me back to life. In this life, I will make up for them and let them live a happy life. Mom and Dad, I really don't want to leave. You know that. Don't worry. I will take good care of you in the future. I will never let you have a miserable old age. Their eyes lit up, and they smiled. As long as you're with us, we don't care about anything else. Their eyes looking at me were full of simple and doting affection, which made my heart very warm. In the following days, we completely forgot about me being the daughter of the Ives family. They worked hard to make money, and after finishing the housework within my ability, I studied hard, so my grades have always been good. The Jiang family's financial situation is very poor. During the winter and summer vacations, I went to the construction site to do odd jobs. Although it was very hard, I could earn dozens of dollars a day and save money for my tuition fees, which would relieve a lot of pressure on my parents. The villagers all praised me for being capable and filial, and my parents were very pleased. This kind of life lasted until my high school entrance examination. After the results came out, I was admitted to No. 1 middle school. My parents were very excited and showed my admission notice all around the village. They even told every dog on the roadside. I wanted them not to be so ostentatious, but they said that the villagers used to look down on our family and thought that we would never get ahead. Now that we had a chance to show our worth, they didn't want to miss it. Remembering the cold looks we had received before, I didn't stop them. After going around, I indeed received many sincere compliments and envy. Of course, there were also some jealous people, and their tone was very sarcastic. Mandy, why are you still supporting her studies? She's just a girl who will run away with some man when she grows up. It would be better if you let her stop studying now and go out to work to earn money for the family. Then you can ask someone to introduce a local guy to her, and she won't be able to run away. That's right. Our daughter listens to us. She's working in an electronics factory now and can send back $1,000 or $2,000 every month to support us. Then our son won't have to worry about not having money to marry a wife. Oh, I just remembered that you can't have children, and Lucy is just a girl you picked up. She's even more unreliable. You can't even rely on a biological daughter, let alone a girl you picked up. When my mother heard these words, her face turned pale with anger. My father put his hands on his hips and pointed at the other person's nose, and started scolding. Lucy is indeed a girl we picked up, but she's well behaved and filial. She's hundreds of times better than yours who only knows how to fight everywhere. Our Lucy doesn't have a younger brother to support. She doesn't need to be a sister who sacrifices herself for her brother. Although our family is poor, We will do everything we can to support her studies. Unlike you, who only think about selling your daughter for money. My mother also started scolding. You don't have much money, but you act as if you have an imperial throne to inherit. Our Lucy can fly as far as she can as long as she has the ability. Just because we picked her up doesn't mean we want to tie her down for the rest of her life. The person was so scolded that their face turned white. I was hiding in the distance, and tears couldn't help falling. I secretly swore that since they had endured so much pressure for me, I would never let them down. At this moment, I'm not the real daughter of the Ives family. I'm just a daughter who vows to live up to my parents. During the following summer vacation, I went to the construction site to do odd jobs to earn my tuition fees. I was older at this time, and the foreman raised my pay to $80 a day. With the money my parents earned, we saved enough money for my tuition fees and the rent for a house in the city. Since my parents didn't have much education, my father set up a shoe repair stall in the city, and my mother washed dishes and did odd jobs in a restaurant, mainly to take care of me. Although we moved to the city, I didn't waste my time on having fun. With the memories of my past life and my current efforts, my grades have been first in the grade from the first year to the second year of high school. I tried to ask my head teacher, Mr. Mark, to introduce me to tutoring jobs. I was worried if I found jobs myself or online, it would be the best if Mr. Mark was willing to help me. Based on my good grades and my family's difficult situation, Mr. Mark was very willing to help. The day before the summer vacation, he finally had some news. Student Lucy, I'll take you to an interview after class. A friend of mine is looking for a tutoring teacher. When he heard that you have good grades, he asked me to bring you over. Tomorrow is the start of the summer vacation. If everything goes well, you can earn the tuition fees and living expenses for the next semester. I was extremely excited. If I succeeded, I could earn about $100 per class. In the 2-month summer vacation, I could earn nearly $5,000. Then my parents wouldn't have to work so hard. Mr. Mark drove me towards the city center, looking at the street scenery outside the window. It seemed familiar. It wasn't until he parked the car in front of a villa that I realized where we were. It turned out to be the Ives family's house. I had walked this road countless times in my past life. No wonder it looked so familiar. Could it be that the Ives family was looking for a tutoring teacher? At this time, Mr. Mark had already walked into the gate of the Ives family's house and waved at me. Student Lucy, come in quickly. Don't be late. Before I could think too much, I quickly followed him. In this life, I need a lot of money. Anyway, I can't turn down the money. After walking through the large garden, we entered the magnificent hall. Looking at the familiar home in front of me, I was in a trance. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from upstairs. Mr. Mark, thank you so much. It's so late, and you still brought someone for us to choose. You know, my daughter Rosalind is very picky. We've seen a dozen tutoring teachers, and she hasn't chosen any of them. It was Nicola. I looked up and saw her, elegant and noble, walking down the stairs with a dejected Rosalind in her arms. Kennedy followed behind them without saying a word. In my past life, they treated me like this when they first took me back. Suddenly, a picture flashed in my mind. It was the way Nicola and Kennedy had strangled me with fierce expressions. This picture made me tremble all over. Looking at them walking closer, I had the urge to leave. At this moment, I wasn't suitable to confront them in any way. But it was too late. Nicola saw me. She widened her eyes and looked at me in disbelief. She asked in great fear, Lucy, how did you come to my house? Her words successfully aroused everyone's curiosity. Kennedy behind her also looked up at me, with confusion and fear flashing across his face. Rosalind stared at me curiously, as if thinking about something. Mr. Mark looked confused. Ms. Nicola, do you know Lucy? This rhetorical question pulled Nicola's thoughts back. Realizing that her actions, she quickly adjusted her expression and immediately showed a smile. No, I heard from Rosalind's teacher that there's a student named Lucy in No. 1 middle school who has excellent grades and is always first in the grade. Plus, you said the person you brought was the first in the grade. So I'm sure she's Lucy. Looking at her explanation, I just wanted to sneer. The reason was so far-fetched. But she was trying to distance herself from me. She was afraid that I would remember that they were my biological parents because of her words. Kennedy also chimed in. I didn't expect Mr. Mark's student to be so excellent. Unlike my daughter, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars sending her to a private international school. But her grades are so poor. There was a trace of shock and pity in his eyes when he looked at me. He didn't expect that I could study so well in this life even though they didn't recognize me. But since they didn't recognize me, no matter how well I study, it has nothing to do with them. So he must have such complicated feelings. When Rosalind saw that they were all praising me, there was a trace of dissatisfaction on her face. But she still held her head up stubbornly and looked down on me. Although you have better grades than me, my family is richer than yours. You can stay. Consider it as my pity for you. When she heard this, Nicola sternly stopped her. Rosalind, don't talk nonsense. Even if our family is wealthy, we can't talk to others like that. It's so impolite. I think student Lucy is the same age as you. She also needs to study. I think we should find someone else to teach you, so as not to delay her studies. I was shocked. She didn't want me to stay in the Ives family. Was she afraid that I would find out they were my biological parents? Was she afraid that everything in the past life would happen again? No. In order to successfully take over the Ives family in the future, I must get this job. I quickly forced myself to shed 2 tears and said with snot and tears, Madam, my parents don't have money. They are struggling to earn hard money. I really need this job. I will arrange my study and work well. Please hire me. Nicola was about to say something, but Rosalind stepped forward and took my hand. She said proudly, Mom, look how pitiful she is. You can choose her. Just think of it as giving her some money. I stared at her in surprise. I didn't know why she chose me. Nicola also looked at her in shock and then quickly looked at Kennedy, hoping he would stop her. Unexpectedly, Kennedy didn't stop her, nor did he agree. At this time, Mr. Mark also spoke. Ms. Nicola, Lucy studies very hard. I heard that she has suffered a lot since she was a child. It's not easy for her to get into the school from the village. She has been working part-time everywhere to relieve the pressure on her parents. I believe she can do this job well. There was a trace of pain and pity in Nicola's eyes, but it disappeared quickly. But she didn't stop me anymore. She just stared at me coldly and laid down 3 rules for me. Since Rosalind chose you, you have to abide by the rules of our Ives family. Don't touch the places you shouldn't go to, and don't inquire about the things you shouldn't know. Leave immediately after the tutoring class and don't stay here. She was so afraid of me staying here. Did she hate me so much and regard me as a scourge? Well, if not, how could she have the heart to strangle me to death in the past life? I stopped thinking about these useless things and quickly agreed. Yes, madam. I will only tutor Miss Cheen and leave immediately after the class. I won't stay any longer. Nicola was relieved and didn't keep us. She waved her hand. Mr. Mark, you can leave now. The tutoring class will start tomorrow. I was delighted, but I didn't show it on my face. Mr. Mark thanked Nicola happily. Thank you, Ms. Nicola. If there are any problems, you can communicate with me in time. We'll leave now. After Mr. Mark finished speaking, he walked towards the gate, and I followed him out of the Ives family's villa without hesitation. I wanted to invite Mr. Mark to dinner, but he refused. Student Lucy, your family's financial situation is not good either. You don't need to treat me to dinner. As a teacher, it's my duty to help students in need. Don't take it to heart. Just focus on tutoring well in the future. After he finished speaking, he left. Looking at his back, my eyes turned red. I took a deep breath to keep the tears from falling. Although this life is hard, the people I met are all kind. When my parents knew that I was tutoring Rosalind in the Ives family, they were shocked. Lucy, did they recognize you? I shook my head. No, even though I look similar to them, they didn't recognize me. I guess they don't want to. But it doesn't matter. I don't want to recognize them either. I just want to make money. They let out a deep sigh. I don't know what's going on. Their biological daughter is right in front of them, but they still don't recognize her. I didn't want them to have such thoughts. So I told them about Rosalind. Mom and Dad. The Ives family already has a daughter who is the same age as me, so they don't need to recognize me. Let's just live a good life as a family in the future. My parents suddenly understood. I see. I said there couldn't be parents who don't love their children. It turns out they already have a beloved daughter. The next afternoon, I arrived at the Ives family's house on time. Rosalind had just woken up from her nap, and Nicola was feeding her fruits with a doting face. When she saw me come in, there was a trace of embarrassment on Nicola's face. She immediately put the fruits on the table and stood up with a cold tone. You're here. Then you can start the class. Then she turned to look at Rosalind and said gently, Mom will go out and buy you a set of clothes. The clothes you're wearing are out of style. As she said this, her eyes glanced at me. I looked at the clothes Rosalind was wearing. It was a new summer style from Chanel. Then I looked at my own shabby clothes of unknown brand. I felt so out of place. I was so embarrassed that my toes curled. Nicola left. Rosalind looked at me with a sneer. Her flawless face had no wounds. In this life, since I didn't come back, she didn't need to fake a fall to frame me and plant the seeds of doubt about me in Kennedy and Nicola's hearts. Since she didn't fall and get hurt, Kennedy and the others must think that I pushed her downstairs in the past life. Her being unhurt in this life is good evidence. When she saw that I was in a daze, Rosalind reminded me, What are you looking at so absent-mindedly? Are you looking at how beautiful my house is? Well, your family must be very poor. Have you never seen such a nice house in your life? I chose you because I knew you were poor. The other teachers who came for the interview weren't as poor as you. A surge of anger welled up in my heart, and I almost slapped her in the face. She stole my place and rubbed my dignity in the dirt. At this time, a childish voice came from the stairs. Sister, who is this person? She looks so rustic. I suddenly looked up. It was Morton, my younger brother who was 10 years younger than me. When I heard his words, I wasn't surprised at all. Although he was only 7 years old, he was used to judging people by their appearance. So I didn't like him in the past life, but I didn't want to kill him either. After all, he was my younger brother, but he always spoke coldly to me. To be honest, I wasn't very sad when he died. Rosalind sneered. She's my tutoring teacher. Her family is really poor, but it has nothing to do with you. Go and play. Morton rushed in front of me and pointed at me with a look of disgust. Hey, you country bumpkin. Don't walk around. Don't dirty my house. After saying that, he rolled his eyes and ran out of the gate towards the swimming pool without caring about my reaction. Rosalind looked at his back. I wasn't sure if it was my imagination, but there was a trace of murderous intent in her eyes. Yes, according to the plot in the past life, in a year, when Rosalind graduates from high school and goes to college, she will kill Morton, and the place where he died was the swimming pool he went to now. Rosalind didn't really want to have the tutoring class. During the whole class, she was chatting and left me aside. I reminded her to study seriously, afraid that I would be fired if her grades didn't improve. But she disdained it. With my family's wealth, I'm not afraid even if I don't do well in the exams. My parents just care about face. Do you think they really care about my grades? Don't worry. I won't let you be fired. I'm kind-hearted. I have to admit that what she said was right. Nicola was like that in the past life. Since she said so, I let her be. Whether she studied or not was up to her. When I went to the toilet, I found that Kennedy and Nicola were out, and only the nanny was watching Morton. I wanted to walk around, but thinking of Nicola's words, I gave up the idea. But seeing this opportunity, an idea flashed through my mind. After the class, I went to the electronics mall and bought a few miniature cameras and carried them in my bag. During the tutoring class, Rosalind secretly ran out to play several times when Kennedy and Nicola were not around. I took the opportunity to install the miniature cameras in several important corners. I also collected about 20 hairs with hair follicles from Nicola and Kennedy's pillows in the bathroom and sent them to the paternity testing center. After all, in the future, the Ives family can't be inherited by a tutoring teacher. After patiently waiting for half a month, I got the identification report. It showed that I was indeed their biological daughter. I carefully hid the report and continued to tutor Rosalind, until one day, I turned on the camera and heard the conversation between Kennedy and Nicola. Husband, Lucy has been tutoring in our family for a long time. After this winter vacation, we should fire her. Anyway, Rosalind will take the college entrance examination in the first half of the year and doesn't need her anymore. Kennedy looked at his phone and thought for a second. Okay, although she seems very obedient, I always feel uneasy. I'm afraid she will recognize that we are her biological parents at any time. Nicola also agreed. She sat in front of the dressing table and applied expensive skincare products with a cold tone. Me too. I always feel something is wrong. Do you think we are too heartless? After all, she is our biological daughter. Kennedy said. You're right. But have you forgotten how vicious she was in the past life? To get the property of the Ives family, she pushed Rosalind down and killed our son. She's an ungrateful person. It's better not to have her. Look, it's a good thing we didn't take her back in this life. We live a peaceful life. How comfortable it is. Nicola smiled with relief. You're right. Rosalind is well behaved. And our son is smart. He will definitely inherit the family property in the future. What could be more perfect? However, Rosalind is not our biological daughter. We should make a will as soon as possible to prevent her from fighting for the property. We can give her some money and find her a good marriage. Kennedy thought for a while and then said, You're right. We should make a will as soon as possible to avoid any disputes. We have raised her so well. That's enough. Nicola walked over and climbed onto the bed to hug him. Yes, this is the trouble of the wealthy. Look, those who don't have money don't have to worry about property disputes. As they talked, they laughed. My heart was bleeding silently. These were my biological parents. They watched me humiliate myself to make money even though their biological daughter had been by their side for so long. All because of the suspicion in the past life. But in the past life, they only suspected me. There was no evidence that I did those things. Just as I was about to turn off the camera, their door was knocked. Rosalind came in with a tray holding 2 glasses of milk. Mom and Dad, here's the milk before you go to bed. Drink it and have a good sleep. Nicola immediately got out of bed and took the milk. She smiled. Rosalind is so well behaved. You bring the milk before going to bed every day. You're so sweet. Rosalind looked at the milk in her hand and smiled too. Although she is very careful, I'm still worried. Some things have to be done by myself to show my filial piety. At this time, Kennedy also smiled. Yeah, you're really filial. I'll transfer $20,000 to you. Buy whatever you want tomorrow. Rosalind jumped up and down. Thank you, Dad. I'm going to bed now. After saying that, she bounced out of the room. Nicola and Kennedy looked at her back and smiled at each other. The scene changed, and Rosalind returned to her room. She stared at the transfer on her phone, opened a chat window, and sent a voice message. They drank it, and Dad transferred $20,000 to me. Let's go shopping tomorrow. I'll buy you a car. I don't know what the other person replied. She kept chatting, and the smile on Rosalind's face never disappeared. I curled my lips and sneered. Then I turned off the camera. The good show was about to begin. Sure enough, after the winter vacation, Nicola took out a stack of money and said lightly to me, Rosalind doesn't need tutoring anymore. Don't come again. This is your payment. I'll give you an extra $1,000 as a thank you. Without saying a word, I took the stack of money and put it in my arms. Thank you, madam. I won't come again. Rosalind sat on the sofa and glanced at me without saying anything. Morton fanned the air in front of his nose and said in a contemptuous tone, "Sure enough. She's a country bumpkin. She treats $3,000 like a treasure. This is not even enough for my pocket money for a day." I stared at him without saying a word. In my heart, I thought, just keep despising me. After all, I don't want to argue with a dying person. When I was nervously preparing for the college entrance examination, something happened in the Ives family. Nicola suddenly fainted and was hospitalized. The doctor couldn't find anything wrong with her and just told her to go home and rest. Kennedy was okay, but he looked listless. They blamed it on Morton being too naughty and difficult to discipline. It made the couple exhausted. Morton had caused a lot of trouble, and Kennedy had always been there to clean up after him. With great difficulty, they endured until Rosalind finished her college entrance examination. Then, they didn't want to deal with Morton anymore and flew abroad for a vacation. They left Morton and Rosalind at home. While they were away, Rosalind suddenly decided to hold an adult ceremony at home and invited many of her classmates to the party. The adult ceremony was very lively. They had a barbecue and drank by the swimming pool. The scene was very luxurious. Although Morton was young, he didn't want to be left behind and actually started drinking with them. Some classmates tried to stop him, but Morton ignored them and took a bottle of wine and secretly went to a corner. Rosalind saw all of this, but she just curled her lips. Not only did she not stop him, but she pretended not to see it. Looking at this scene, a scene from the past life emerged in my mind. On the contrary, it was my adult ceremony in the past life. Kennedy and Nicola were also not at home. Rosalind took the initiative to invite many people I didn't know to drink and celebrate. I didn't think much of it until Morton drowned. Although it was a different life, cold sweat still crept up my back. Suddenly, a scream came from the surveillance. "Someone is drowning. Hurry up." I took a closer look, and sure enough, a small figure was lying face down in the deep end of the swimming pool. Rosalind rushed out from who knows which corner and lay by the swimming pool, shouting hoarsely, "He's my younger brother. Hurry up and save him. I've been looking for him for a long time but couldn't find him. How could he fall into the water?" Whoa. Several boys jumped into the swimming pool and spent a lot of effort dragging Morton out. Everyone quickly gave him artificial respiration and called the emergency number ambulance. But after doing several sets of artificial respiration, they were horrified to find that it was useless. He had no breath. When the ambulance came and carried out a series of emergency rescue measures, it was still useless. The doctors and nurses could only take him to the hospital. Rosalind followed the ambulance, and the others dispersed. In an instant, the whole villa was as quiet as a chicken. When Kennedy and Nicola came back, it was already the next day. Morton didn't make it. Nicola fainted as soon as she got home. Kennedy was also staggering and couldn't stand. The next moment, he fell headfirst onto the sofa. Rosalind cried and sent them to the hospital. I didn't know the situation in the hospital. I only knew that a few days later, Kennedy and the others came back. They were in a trance while handling Morton's affairs. Rosalind looked sad, but there was a hint of excitement in her eyes. After all, in her perception, as long as Morton was dead, the Ives family would be hers, and no one would compete with her. After Morton's affairs were settled, Kennedy and Nicola still didn't show up and stayed at home to heal their wounds every day. One day, Nicola, who had been lost in thought, suddenly had her eyes light up. "No, husband. Why did our son die this time even though Lucy wasn't in our family?" Kennedy was also stunned by her words. Yes, according to the past life, Lucy killed him. But this time, Lucy didn't come back, and our son still died. Could it be that the real murderer in the past life wasn't Lucy? Nicola was at a loss, and her eyes were flustered. How could this be? Could we have misunderstood her? Think about it. If she pushed Rosalind downstairs and disfigured her, it disappeared and the two of them lost their breath. Kennedy and Nicola were dead. Their eyes were wide open, and they died with grievance. Rosalind's parents quickly closed the doors and windows of the house.
lit the charcoal, and quickly left the room. Looking at their actions, I smiled. The next day, I took the redone paternity test report and went to the Ives family's villa with my parents and several friends who were doing self-media. As soon as we entered the villa gate, they started the live broadcast. Guys, today is the day my friend reunites with her biological parents. Come and congratulate her. I heard that her parents are local tycoons. When Rosalind and her parents saw our large group of people suddenly arrive, they were stunned. A trace of panic flashed across their faces. After all, in order to make Kennedy and the others look like they committed suicide by burning charcoal, their bodies hadn't been disposed of yet. I waved the paternity test report in front of Rosalind. Where are my parents? They said they would let me come for the recognition ceremony today. Why aren't they here? Before she could react, I said as I walked in and searched room by room. Rosalind was terrified and quickly stood in front of me to stop me. Lucy, you poor wretch. In order to get the money, you actually pretended to be my parents' biological daughter. Do you think you're their daughter just because you have this paternity report? The identification report can be faked. We don't believe it. They only have me as their daughter. You're a liar. I pushed her away and rushed into Kennedy's room. Whether it's true or not, let my parents come and see. They took the initiative to give me their hair for the paternity test. You just don't know about it. Where are they? After saying that, I pushed open the door, and a strong smell of charcoal came out. Don't move. Rosalind's heartrending voice came, but it was too late. After the smell dissipated, I saw Kennedy and Nicola lying on the ground. I let out a scream of pretend horror. Dad, Mom, what happened to you? My parents quickly called the police and an ambulance. I lay beside Kennedy and the others' bodies and cried bitterly, enduring the nausea. My friends quickly closed the live broadcast room and stood beside me watching me cry. Soon, the police and the ambulance arrived. Rosalind and her parents were flustered and at a loss. They wanted to run back to their room to pack up and escape. While they were in a panic, I pulled out the camera installed in this room and stuffed it into my underwear. In the end, Rosalind and her parents were caught by the police at the door and couldn't run away. So they had to accept the interrogation and investigation. Silly girl. What are you saying? Such a good opportunity is something others can't even ask for. You're the biological daughter of the Ives family. After the interrogation, Rosalind and her parents were taken away by the police. Although they had thought of some excuses before, there were too many loopholes, and they quickly confessed. When her psychological defense was breached, she also confessed to the case of drowning Morton during the adult ceremony with her parents when they took advantage of the chaos. They were all sentenced to death. As for me, after doing the DNA test with Kennedy and the others again and confirming that I was their daughter, I completely inherited everything of the Ives family. Half a year later, I thought this villa was unlucky and sold it at a low price. I bought a large flat in the city center and moved in with my parents. Then I bought another large flat for them. They were very happy and went back to the countryside with this joy. They told everyone that I was the daughter of the Ives family and that I had bought them a big house. After that, they never went back to the countryside. After getting the envious looks from those who had looked down on them before, they quickly put away their pride. After returning to the city, they never set foot in the countryside again, because although they hadn't read many books, they understood the principle of not showing off their wealth. If they kept showing off their wealth in front of others, something bad would happen sooner or later. They didn't want to harm me, so they put away their thoughts of showing off and lived a peaceful old age. I looked out at the river view and felt a lot of emotions. Exchanging 18 years of hard life for money and power in this life is a good deal. After all, my life has just begun. The end.